How's it going, everyone? This video is going to be over order blocks. We are first going to cover order blocks at the smart money reversal before talking about order blocks on the buy side and sell side of the curve. I'll also be talking about the mean threshold of order blocks, what it looks like when price is respecting an order block versus invalidating an order block. And then finally, I'll be taking a look at stop losses for order blocks. So let's hop into it. So here we are with our first example. If you notice, we have buy side liquidity resting here, or buy stops. Here you can see we sweep those buy stops right here. Now if we get a close and displacement below this series of up close candles here, this opening price, we now have an order block. Let's see if that forms. So right here, we get displacement and closure below that. So looking to enter on a retest of the order block, my stop on this high, and looking for 2R. Let's see how this works out. So here we get tagged in. And there we get stopped out. So now why did we get stopped out? Now, if you remember back to the slides, I'm looking for this series of up close candles into what? An important level. Do we have an important level here? Well, if we're on the 5-minute, let's zoom out to the hour. Here we have our buy side liquidity resting right here. So zooming back into the 5-minute, now you can see in the absence of a higher time frame level, these up close candles just created equal highs, and this is a retracement to move higher. Now let's go back to the hourly chart and see how we could frame this in the other direction. So back out here on the hourly chart, knowing we have buy side liquidity resting above us, what do we have right here? We have a fair value gap. So with an hourly fair value gap, dropping down to the 5-minute chart now we are waiting for price to reach into the fair value gap. Here we get to reach into the fair value gap. So now what do we have checked off? We have an important level. So now I'm waiting for a sweep. Here we get a sweep. Now if we're going to validate this down close candle into an important level and sweeping liquidity, where do we need to close? I want to see a closure over the opening price of this down close candle. And here we get that closure. So once again, looking to take an entry on the retest of this opening price, my stop on the low, and then looking for buy side liquidity or 2R. Let's see how this works out. And you can see we hit our TP. So you can see this is not a valid order block because it is lacking a higher time frame level, while this order block reaches into a higher time frame level or an hourly fair value gap and is going with the trend. Here we are on oil 5-minute chart, and you can see we're reaching into an hourly fair value gap here. Although we do have a little sweep here, I prefer a nice swing low to be swept. But let's see if we can close over this down close candle. You can see we do not get a close below, and then now what are we getting? Another lower time frame sweep. Here we get an extra little sweep. And now what I would be looking for is where is this series of down close candles? Right here. So I want to see price close over these candles here. And there we get a close over those candles. This is our order block here, or the series of down close candles before the change in the state of delivery. My eyes are drawn to these failure swings up here. So if I was looking to take an entry off of this order block, I'd need my stop on this low, where that is how I do it, and then targeting the failure swings at the high. However, that gives a risk to reward ratio of 1.3. So this is when I would go from body high to body low and mark out 50% of that order block. Now I can look for the mean threshold to be an entry point, and you can see how my risk to reward goes from 1.3 to 2.6 almost. Let's see how this plays out. You can see it takes a good while, but we do reach those failure swings up there. So you can see from this example, it's not always going to be super clean and picture perfect. But when I have a larger order block or larger series of down close candles where it doesn't make sense to enter off the opening price, that is when I will look to enter off the mean threshold. And zooming out quickly to look at the hourly chart, you can see how the bodies respect the fair value gap here and the wicks do the damage. So now taking a look at example, you can see that price has mostly consolidated through Asia and London. So let's see what happens as we near New York open. You can see here, we sweep these lows over here, or these sell stops resting below the Asia lows. Now, if these down close candles are going to become an order block, what do we have to do? We have to close over the series of down close candles right here. So let's see if that occurs. So we do get that close. Now, if I'm looking for an order block entry, I would look to enter here, my stop on the low. However, with this current range, if I was just targeting these highs here, that's 1.4 risk to reward. Now, there's a few ways I can go about this. I can look for a fair value gap entry, which should give me just about 2R, which I'd be looking to do. But let's see if price confirms the smart money reversal, and then we can find another order block. So here price reaches into an important level, or a fair value gap. So if it's going to close over the bodies of these series of up close candles, this is now an order block. We cannot close over those bodies yet. And what do we get? We get a sweep of a low. Now if we're looking for the lowest bodied down close candle, it would be this candle here. I'm waiting for price to close over that candle. We do not get a close yet. And there we get a close. So now if I'm looking to take an entry, I can enter on the opening price of this down close candle, my stop on that low, and then targeting the highs for just about 2R. So you can see it's about the same as that fair value gap entry. And there it goes. Now, if we're going to look a little bit deeper at this price action and use what we learned in the last section, we can mark out the mean threshold of this order block right here. You can see that the candles respect this mean threshold. Now what I can do is look to take an entry on this mean threshold with my stop in the same spot, and you can see how the risk to reward significantly increases. However, with this technique, I also risk the chance of not getting filled on this trade. Now you're probably wondering, can we do the same thing with this order block down here at the smart money reversal? And of course we can. So marking out from the high to the low of the bodies and dragging it over, let's see how this risk to reward would be. Entering at the mean threshold, my stop on the low, and targeting the same highs, it would be just about 2.6 when compared to the fair value gap entry at 1.95. Let's go over one more example of using order blocks as a continuation of trend. We have previous month's high sitting here. You can see we create equal highs, and then we have a series of up close candles into the equal highs, which then get displaced and closed below, validating it as an order block. Price then retraces back up into the order block, as well as into this small inefficiency here, or fair value gap. Now we have a series of up close candles into an order block and fair value gap, or important levels. So now if price is going to displace and close below these up close candles, we now have another order block. Here we displace and get a close below. Now let's see if we reach back up into that important level. Here we reach up into this important level, so now I can look for this to displace and close below. We do validate this as an order block. So now I can look at this as another point of interest for a continuation of trend. And there we reach into this. So now what do we have? The up close candles into an important level. And let's see if we get a move lower here. And we do. So you can see how these order blocks are formed when they reach into an important level and then displace and close below them. Now you're wondering, why didn't I choose this candle as an order block? Well, it never reached up into an important level for me. I wanted price to reach back into this order block, which it did here. So although we closed below the opening price here, it doesn't validate it as an order block for me because it's missing that important